Okay, hello everybody. I don't know if you can hear me clearly or not, but we're on top of our main shark tank here. It's about 1 million or so litres, and I'll talk about some of the sharks that are going to be in it, but really what we're going to do right now is we're just going to show you a shark feed. So I know you guys are all at home, maybe you've gone out for a bit of exercise today. We're still coming in every day and looking after the animals, and every day the animals need feeding, so we're going to try and share some of that with you. So first off, I'm going to bring you over here and I'm going to show you some of the food. I split like that. So again, I'm not sure how well you guys can hear me, but this is all the shark food that we're going to be feeding off. So depending on the species of shark we've got and the animal we've got, they're going to eat different things. But you can see here it's a really nice selection of food. What we've got here, we've got some Corelli jack, we've got some whiting, we've got some haddock. So it's a real mix of different types of food. For the smaller fish as well, we've got things like prawn, and then we've also got squid down here as well, so you see that? So all of the food that we feed here, we also enrich. So it's just going to be your normal fish, but you can see it's slightly prepared, and then on top of that, we add extra nutrients and vitamins. So depending on the species and the animal that's in there, we want to make sure they get all the nutrients they need for a sort of healthy life. So what I'm going to do, if I bring it back here as well, again, you can see some of the other stuff that we're going to be feeding. So these are, for those who can recognise it, is mackerel, and again same thing. So we're just enriching these feeds, making sure that they're nice sort of bite-sized chunks for the different animals. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up now, and I'm going to let two of our aquarists start the feed, and we're just going to watch from a distance. Okay, so I'm just going to back away, and here we are with our two aquarists, Charlotte and Marina, and they're going to start setting up for the feed. So if I walk this way, we can see. So there we go, there's one of our nurse sharks, just getting ready for food. So they're just putting in some scatter feed now. So this is a mixture of pellets and sort of dry food, as we call it. And it's basically like breakfast cereal for the fish. That just keeps the fish occupied. And then for the sharks, again, they have much more specific feeds, and we target them directly. Probably one of the big hovering around waiting for the food, and that's because they're actually very good at knowing what time of day it is. We keep our lighting schedule set to, so here you go, Rowena's just lowering in a piece of fish now actually into the water. Now back to what I was saying, so the animals have what's called an internal body clock, a circadian rhythm, and our lighting isn't set to sort of just on-off kind of 12-hour cycle. We match it to certain regions of the world, so the lighting schedule does match as much as we can the wild from where they're from, and that allows the animals to actually have a seasonal cycle, and they'll know actually what time of day it is. And also, are we back? We're back. Sorry, I just have to probably move too far away from the Wi-Fi there. So yes, so the sharks have an internal body clock. They know roughly what time of day we feed. We feed them every other day, and when we do that, that means that they're always kind of full. They're always got their bellies full, and it means that they're not really that hungry, which means they don't hunt. So that allows us to keep other fish and other animals with them without having to worry about predation from the sharks. So if we look down here, we've got a target. Now, it's a bit of a myth that fish and sharks, I suppose, don't have a good memory. There's Flo, she's just had a nice mouthful of haddock there, I think. Look at that, yum, yum, yum. There's a bit of a myth that fish and sharks and things don't have a good memory. Oh, here got one of the mangrove rays having some dinner now as well. They've actually got a very good memory. Like I say, they can remember the time of day they feed and what days they are going to be fed. And then on top of that, we can target train them. So if you can see in this corner here, just in front of Charlotte, we've got a striped target, and we've trained the sharks to know that when that target goes into the water, it's dinner time. And if they come near that target, they're likely to get a mouthful of fish. So it didn't take too long to teach them. They love fish, they love food, they love to eat. Sorry for my poor cinematography. So they are really easy to motivate to train. So these nurse sharks are trained to come to this particular target to feed first. And if you notice the other sharks in this tank, so we've got 5 nurse sharks in this tank at the moment. We've got some stingrays, and we've also got 2 sand tigers, black-tip reef sharks, and grey reef sharks. So there's quite a lot of sharks in here, but it's only the nurse sharks are coming, and that's because we've trained them to come to this target. So yeah, you can see them coming up, and they're quite greedy. They're just like me. They love their dinner, and they'll do anything for some food. So they're pretty easy to train up. So the sand tigers, if I zoom across here, we've got Bungley's one of the sand tigers. They know that there's food in the water. They can taste there's food in the water. They don't get fed from this side, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to try their luck and try and sneak in and get a bit of food if they can. But right now, the nurse sharks are getting all the attention and all the love, and they're getting all the dinner. So what I'll do is I'm going to come across a little bit and we'll see if we get a bit of a closer look up on the nurse sharks feeding, because they're doing a really good job at the moment. Just bear with me. So I'm just going to lean out here safely, and then hopefully we can see if we can get a nurse shark coming and having some lunch. This is Zippy, one of the other sand tiger sharks, just coming by, and again, like I say, trying his luck a little bit on the food. But here's a nurse shark, and there we go. So nurse sharks are quite interesting in the fact that, yes, they're a shark, but they're a shark that doesn't have cutting teeth. They don't bite in the same way that you might imagine sharks will. There we go, some more dinner. There we go. Zoom. What these guys do is they'll look around in crevices and rocks in the wild, and they'll sort of push their faces in little holes, and they'll hoover up, they'll suck up what's in there and crush it. So what these guys actually have is a crushing plate and almost like a vacuum mechanism. So you can see that hoovering up, it's like whoop, sucked up. So that's how they like to eat. They like to suck the food in and pretty much crush it and swallow it whole. So there's no chewing going on. It is literally a kind of crushing and suction motion, which means they can eat big things just as easy as small things. And then also, there we go, you can see that, yum, yum, yum. Even things like crabs and crustaceans. So they love things like octopus, crustaceans, like crabs and lobsters and things like that. That really is some of their favourite food. But most sharks, and actually most fish in general, they just love oily fish. So just like we like, mackerel and things like that, they absolutely love it as well. It's just the oils is really super tasty. And we just have to be a little bit careful with our shark feed training that we don't get them too used to the tasty food. So we don't want them eating the equivalent of McDonald's every day. We want to mix up that diet with something healthy. So we do try and mix it up, and then what we'll do is we'll hide, just like you might do if you've got a pet dog at home, we'll hide treatments. So if one of them's a bit poorly, we can do medical treatments, or if we want to make sure they've got some vitamin treatments, we can actually hide it in the food. So the shark doesn't know it's eating that vitamin. There we go, he's being a little bit lost there, but he's finding his way back. There we go. Are you going to have your dinner? This is a really fussy one, apparently. So here we go. Snap. So I don't know if you guys can hear that snap or not, but that is very much really the force of the sort of eating that they do. It really is like a loud clack as they sort of suck in the food. So we'll just keep watching these for a little bit longer. But like I say, what we're going to do is we're going to switch in a minute, and we're going to go down and we're going to go watch the sand tigers eat. Now, if I look down there, I can see her buzzing around somewhere. Oh, there she is. That's Betty, our bowmouth guitarfish. So she's just zipping around. When she comes back, I'll get a better look. We've got a nice close look-ups of the sharks at the moment, so let's do that. Having a really good look around. So it's another important thing that we have to do. A little bit of a look behind the scenes, really, is we don't want to just put in as much food as the sharks can eat. We do want to kind of keep track of what they're eating and how much they're eating. So as we're doing the feed, we're actually recording exactly what they're eating as they're eating. So it's not a single person job. It takes usually 4 to 5 staff to do a feed. So it's usually a couple of people doing the feed, and then it's 2 or 3 more that are actually recording it and making note of the actual particular sharks they're eating. So all of these guys have got names. They've also got proper records. So internally we put a little microchip in them, just like, again, you might do some of your pets at home. And that allows us to keep almost like a barcode for the animals, for the sharks for feeding. So clearly they're having a great old time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a move again. This is one of the black tips, just cruising by and zipping past. Now I'm going to try... Oh, hang on. Wait. There we go. I'm not as flexible as the sharks. Just bear with me. So you'll have to bear with me in terms of... this is our first attempt at doing an Instagram live like this, so I'm going to try and read the questions as they come up, but we also got some of our team hopefully will be able to answer some of these questions on there. Right, we're still there we go. So I think I saw how many teeth the sharks have. Well, it depends on the species. So obviously, like the nurse sharks we've got here, they have crushing plates, and then things like the sand tigers here can have hundreds of teeth, and it's in multiple layers. They have almost a conveyor belt of teeth. This is on the sand tigers, or try and track. They have hundreds of layers of teeth that is constantly coming through, a constant conveyor belt. And the reason you have that is if you've got sharp teeth and you're constantly biting things that might be denting or wearing out your teeth, you lose that sharpness and it might affect your ability to eat. So a really simple solution that sharks have come up as is if they constantly shed their teeth, just like we shed our baby teeth, and replace them with new teeth, they'll always have sharp teeth. So the average shark on the whole sheds about 10,000 teeth in its lifetime. So actually, when we go diving in the bottom of this tank down here, so our team, just like you might clean your fish tank at home, we have to actually physically get in our tank here to clean it. You can't just get a long pole and a white pad. So we'll get it and clean it, and whilst we're in there we can just sift through the sand, and the sand is just full of teeth. So we collect those teeth, and they can sometimes be given out as a gift, but they are constantly shedding and dropping those teeth to make sure they're super sharp. So what I think I'm going to do now is we're going to go down and have a look at it from another view, and see if we can see the sand tigers feeding. I'm just going to see, so this is the black tips. Black tips are a little bit more shy, and they're a little bit more rubbish at feeding, but you can see he's just circling around, being slightly put off by the nurse sharks trying to eat. And this is again the sand tigers just letting us know they're hungry. Hello, we're back here. So I'm just going to run downstairs now, and then we're going to go over to the other side over here, and we're going to feed the sand tigers. But we think it'll look a little bit nicer from downstairs, so you're just going to have to bear with me waddling along downstairs. So I'll be there in a second, and we can have a bit of a tour. So as you guys all know, for everybody's benefit, people are now staying at home, apart from maybe going to the park. So it's nice and quiet here in the aquarium. It's a little bit weird. This is our shark walk. So when you arrive normally, you'll go past this shark walk, and it's a chance to kind of walk over the top of the shark tank, and you can see the sharks buzzing around underneath you. So obviously right now they're all excited and near the surface. But if you come here on a normal day, it's usually absolutely rammed with sharks. So I'm going to keep going, and this is, you're kind of seeing the journey, and we're going to make our way all the way round to what we call Shark -1. So it's probably the best view of the shark tank, and it should be an excellent view for seeing the sand tigers feed. So we'll be able to lower the food right in front of the window and get a good view. But you're getting a nice little behind-the-scenes tour here. If I swing, you get to see me as well, running downstairs. So we're just going to try and get to Shark -1. Bear with me. And then we can set up to hopefully see the sharks having their dinner. So here we go. And again, nice and quiet down here, but we've got a really, really good view, which is what we want to see, of the sand tigers and their dinner. So these guys eat a little bit bigger food than the nurse sharks will eat. This is called Trevally Jack, and I can see it might not come up clear on your screen, but there's vitamins, there's enrichment embedded into the fish there. Oh, no, it's been dropped. I think they're going to try that again. That one's lost to the nurse sharks, I think. So here we go. You can see these guys going round. Just bear with me. Oh, there we go. There's the sand tiger. Sorry, we just got as is typical. There we go. So that's really nice up and face. That's Bungle, one of our big male sand tigers. So they're the biggest sharks in the tank, and probably the heaviest. And as you can tell, they already have worked out this is where dinner's going to come from. So they're hovering and hanging around. So in a second, I'm pretty sure some more food will come down, and we'll be able to hopefully get a really nice view of the sand tiger feeding. But if I zoom down and have a look around here, you can see now the tank has got nice and lively. So the nurse sharks, now the targets come out of the water, have kind of taken the hint that they're not going to get fed now, and they've gone down to the bottom. And the reason they've done that is they've learned over time that sometimes food gets dropped, and they can pick up the food that doesn't get picked up. So they're basically trying their luck. Now here we go. So the food's going back in again for the nurse sharks, hopefully. Yeah, it's hopefully it's going to come around. I can see, there we go. I think that's Zippy getting a little bit lost, but hopefully he'll come round. Otherwise, this will just be a live stream of a fish being held in the water, which is not quite as exciting as we were hoping for. So there's one of our black tips zooming round. And again, all the animals in here they know where they should be fed, and they know what time they should be fed, but they are going to try their luck. If they can sneak up on you and get a free dinner, they will. They're not going to miss out on an opportunity for dinner if they can get away with it. But hopefully we'll have the sand tigers will come and get their food. So down there actually you can see the mangrove ray, and you can see Betty the bowmouth as well. So she's, although we say the sand tigers are the biggest in there, she's pretty big herself. So she's not a shark and she's not a ray, she's kind of a ancestor of both. So she's kind of neither. Oh, that's a close pass by, but hopefully Zippy here might actually come up and have dinner. So what we want to try and do is make them work for a little bit. We don't want to just completely put it into their mouth. So they do have to come to a certain point. And again, that sort of training helps us. So fingers crossed, here we go. Is he going to get it? No. But let's see if he comes around again. So nurse shark's just trying his luck here. Nearly getting a free lunch. So they're a little greedy. So after sort of 5-10 minutes of feeding, the smell really gets into the tank, and then everything gets very, very lively and everything's hungry. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. So there's a mouthful. So unlike the nurse sharks, these guys do have teeth. They have sharp, pointy teeth, and that allows them to catch fast moving fish, and then once they grab it, you just saw there, they kind of hold it in place and then they can swallow it whole. So again, they take a nice big gulp. I can see in the background there's some more scatter food going in. So this is squid and then chopped up bits of mackerel and other things, and this again will be just for the larger fish that can't compete upstairs, can come down and just pick up the food. We call it on the drop, so we drop down food for them to have to pick up if they can't quite compete for the food near the top. And again, we just want to try and keep track of what everything's eating down there. So you can see the black tips down there in the corner are just swooping around and picking up stuff. And also Betty is like a big giant hoover, and she's doing a great job sucking up the food there. So hopefully we'll get another sand tiger going around again, and then I might go up and have a look at the surface again. But I hope you guys are enjoying this. We wanted to try and come up with fun little things to hopefully entertain you at home. And show you kind of the work that's going on behind the scenes over the next, well, probably 4 weeks or so, because it never really stops here. It's always very busy, and as you can see, the animals don't know they're in quarantine. They are just enjoying life as normal and doing very, very well. There's no lack of toilet roll here. So here we go. We've got another sand tiger zipping around here, and I think, is it Bungle? So you can tell the difference because one of them's got a little spot on his head and the other one doesn't. So this one does, so it's zippy. And then there we go. Oops, are you going to get it? No. Never work with children or animals. Hopefully he'll come around again. They're definitely hungry because they were hovering near the top, so they'll just come round. But like I say, we don't want to try and force them to eat if they don't want to. We do give them the option to avoid us if they're not feeling it. But I've got a feeling he'll come round at the same level and bunch this time. So I'm just trying to see questions when they come up. I'm not getting all of them, so I'm sorry about that. But I just saw what species are in the tank. So we've got 2 sand tiger sharks. So these are the big ones that we're trying to feed right now. And that's Zippy and Bungle. Then we've got 5 nurse sharks, which are these guys, little mobile hoover machines. We've got a big group of black tip reef sharks, which are the ones down here. And they're the kind of classic shark shape with black tips on it. Oh, here we go. Are we going to get another dinner time? No, we've got a nurse shark dodging in the way and trying to steal free lunch. We've got grey reef sharks. So basically, if it looks like a black tip, but it doesn't have a black tip, then it's our grey reef shark. And I can see him. He's actually in the distance there. I'm not sure how obvious that is there, but that's our grey reef shark there, zipping along. And he mostly likes to feed on food that's dropped. And then we've got Betty the bowmouth over there as well. So it's a big mix of sharks in here. And then we've got a really big mix of fish. So we've got Crevelli jacks, we've got Sergeant Majors, all sorts of odds and sods, hogfish, different types. You can see them sort of zipping around. We've got Munnos and all sorts. I just see, do they notice if there's no visitors or not? Yeah, actually, we think they do to a degree. They definitely enjoy engaging with the guests. They can see you just as much as you can see them when you're looking through the windows. So they definitely know you're there and they can see you. And when it's quiet like this, oh, here we go. We're going to get no. Normally, it's much easier to feed. Here's the black. So normally when there's guests in, they definitely will interact and come near the windows for the guests, depending on their mood. So again, they're not they're allowed to kind of go where they want within the display, but they definitely do engage, and it's definitely noticeable. Quite a few of the animals that we have here now, the guest numbers have dropped. That they absolutely love it when you go past the window. So they'll see you moving by and coming near the window, and they'll come and have a look and try and interact with you. It's definitely noticeable on things like the penguins. They absolutely love attention and they love playing with the guests when you guys come and visit. So now you guys aren't. We have to be really conscious of making sure we're putting in a lot of penguin playtime, which, as you can imagine, is one of the worst jobs in the world for the team. So here we go. Another chance at a feed. Are you going to have dinner this time? No, oh, okay. We might have to abort. I'll give it one more try and then we'll go back up onto the deck. Yes, yeah, it's from Rainbow, Zippy and Bungle. I can just see that. Penguin talk, yes, I think we're going to try and do talks from all different types of feeds. So we've got our turtle feed, potentially a penguin feed. So there's all sorts. And we're just, if you guys keep an eye out, oh, there we go. This guy's got a mouthful of food, so everybody's following him because they can taste it. So yeah, as and when we get the chance, obviously I hope you guys can appreciate right now, our workload hasn't actually slowed up now we're closed. It's actually for the animal care team, it's increased because we split our teams into 2 separate teams to make sure we have some biosecurity and everybody's as healthy as possible. And because of that, our workload's gone up a little bit, but what we want to try and do is show you what that workload is. So show you some of the things we're up to. And at the moment, it's failing to feed a shark. Let's see, we'll give him one more try to come round. I hope it's not too boring. So it's how many sharks are in total? It's 21, I believe, in total. So that's with all of them, and I'm including Betty in that, the bowmouth, who isn't technically a shark. So hopefully we've got one more, we'll give it one more go of trying to feed this sand tiger, and then I'll head back up to the top deck again, and then I'm going to have to say goodbye to you guys. So we'll give it one more go. How do sharks sleep? Actually, it's a really interesting question. We go, oh no, black tip's trying to get in the way. How do sharks sleep? So what they do is actually, it's really interesting. The majority of the sharks we've got here are either nocturnal or what's called crepuscular, which is they're most active at dawn and dusk. So during the day actually is when they technically are sleeping. And the way they do that is they can switch off essentially part of their brain. Their brain activity drops right off and they kind of go into cruise control. So they just kind of cruise around the tank nice and slow and gentle. And it allows them to kind of sleep half of their brain and kind of recycle and recharge their batteries, but while swimming around. So it's a bit of a myth that all sharks have to keep swimming to live. Nurse sharks are a perfect example of that. They don't actually have to swim to push water over those gills. They can actually suck up water and blow it across their gills. So there's a good portion of sharks that actually can sit down and essentially lie down to breathe. Are we going to try again? No. We've given up on that one. They can literally lay down. So these guys are nice and active right now, but most of the time they sit down and sleep, essentially, and try and save as much energy as they possibly can. But it's actually a really efficient thing to do. If you can keep swimming, and it's called a swim glide pattern. It's basically you build up a bit of speed and then you just kind of cruise, just like you would do on a scooter. It's a really efficient, energy efficient way of moving around in the water. So sharks actually don't use very much energy whilst they're sort of pulsing along. They just have that nice sinusoidal push with their tail, that kind of S-shape pushing they do with their tail, and that allows them to keep moving with very, very little energy when they're swimming and they're half asleep. I'm just trying to have a look at... So there's a species of sharks, just saying how old's the oldest shark. There's a species of shark called the Greenland shark. That is a kind of real oddball shark, and as you can guess, found near Greenland. And they found spear tips in it that are dated to be over 200 years old from when they used to fish for them. So they've done similar things in Wales, but because of that, they can actually date. So they know that there's species of sharks that are over 200 years old living and still zipping around and moving around. Now, sharks themselves as a design, as an idea, in terms of evolution, have been around since before the dinosaurs. So it's a really successful design. They're very good at what they do. And if you're good at what you do, you don't need to change. So these guys haven't changed since before the dinosaurs. And in all honesty,